Chris Level here with the head cross country and track and field coach Devin Ramby. This is another edition of Pirate Talk. We also have a new sponsor, Texas Tech Federal Credit Union. We appreciate you reaching out to us and sponsoring these podcasts. So thank you very much for doing that. Really excited about this conversation with Coach Ramby. First of all, is Rambo an approved nickname? Do we sign off on that?
Yes, absolutely. It's gone. That goes way back. A lot of the coaches that are around, Coach Sexton, Coach Cat, Coach Winchy, guys that were around when I was in high school, that kind of stuck back then, and then it's just gone ever since. And so it's all approved. I'm good with it. I answer to it.
I love it. Okay. And that's the thing. You can't ever give yourself a nickname. But when somebody else gives it to you, man, yeah, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, if you're a Seinfeld guy, you know how the self-given nickname works out, and it's never good. So.
Yeah, it's like you can't double dip either.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Yeah. Shame on you, George. And you're married to Devin Ramby.
That is correct.
Which is wild.
Yeah, not planned by any stretch of the measure.
Right.
Caught my eye my second or third year and started connecting real well. And we joked about it. We did. It's like, oh, yeah, what if we're both Devin Ramby? Spelled first name the same way. And then, it just kind of happened. The rest is history, and now I get a lot of her emails. And she gets a lot of my emails. It's all good.
There's no secrets in the Ramby household.
And she coached for a while, too. And so it wasn't even coach and Mrs. It was coach and coach. So then it became girl coach, boy coach, and yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, have we ever thought about having like the one Facebook account or the one, or we dress up?
No. Not our personalities at all. Not our personalities at all.
I didn't think so.
And the biggest thing was whenever we were having our first kid, the question was, well, are you going to name him Devin? I'm like, the nightmare of both of us, I cannot imagine going to 3. Absolutely not. So went a totally different direction.
That's funny. Okay, so you're in the midst of, we're in the fall right now. The weather's starting to change a little bit, and you're finishing up cross country.
Absolutely.
Take me through coaching that sport, because as an observer from the outside, this is just run a long ways, run over terrain.
Absolutely.
And that's it, correct?
So my background is sprints, hurdles, jumps. I had no cross-country background at all. Now, going back to my wife, you talk about a distance guru, she's it. And so the only thing I knew about cross-country was through her. Okay. And, for me, I'm like you. You go run for a long time and over some grassy knolls and, you might find the shooter, I don't know. But you're out there and then you come back to the finish and, okay, how'd you run? And she's like, there's so much more to that. And the more I got into it and talking to her, I'm like, there is a lot of strategy involved. There's a lot of mental game. Coach Wilburn talked about golf being a super mental sport because you're out there for 18 holes by yourself. And I do equate cross-country a lot to that because to me, same thing. You're out there for 3 miles with your own thoughts. Like, there's not timeouts, there's not breaks, there's not possession changes. And so there's a lot of mental strategy involved. We do a ton of mental work and just positive self-talk and, how do you approach when your legs get heavy? When you see a hill, how are you going to interact with that? And so there's a lot of strategy. When do you take off? When do you settle into your pace? If you start too slow, can you catch up? If you start too fast, are you going to fall back later? And so there's a lot more that goes into it that I was not aware of until I was in it.
So it's borderline psychologist.
Oh, my wife always joked about I did more counseling as a cross-country coach than I do as a counselor. And
right.
She says that all the time, and I think she's right.
Yeah. And tell me how many athletes, like on boys and girls and all that are running cross-country for you right now that you're in charge of?
So we're at about 19 right now.
Okay.
And we'd like to be more. We'd like to be closer to about 30, honestly.
Okay.
We got 5 varsity boys and 5 JV boys. And on the girls' side, we had 2 varsity and 7 JV.
Okay. And is it a tough sell? Hey, come run for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And
people are like, excuse me?
Yeah.
I don't get to catch anything or throw anything. I just have to run. What am I, Forrest Gump? Yeah.
And that's the thing that like Coach Blakely and myself and Coach Limmer have struggled with is how do you sell it? And we found out that a lot of those distance runners, that's what they do. Like, they are distance runners. It's hard to part-time distance running. It's really tough. Like, Taylor Bullen pulls it off better than most I've ever seen. Okay. She's a basketball player and a cross country. That's hard to do. And my wife talks about that all the time. Distance running is a year-round gig. because you take too much time off and you're starting back at square one versus continuing to hold that kind of stuff. And so that's part of the sell that we struggle with. But my junior high coaches, Coach Wood and Coach Anderson, are doing a fantastic job of just getting kids in and seeing if we can just hold on to them and grow the program from that level up instead of trying to start in high school.
Okay, makes total sense. And like you coach track and field. So this is what, third year you're in charge of track and field? Will this be third season?
So this is my you go back to 2018. So this will be my 6th year of girls and 3rd year of boys.
Okay.
So like this is my 3rd year double duty.
That's what it is. Okay, gotcha. Okay, and they're all in other sports for the most part. Like this is a spring deal, the track and field part.
Okay, so that is a long time ago. Like when we were 3A, very beginnings of 5A, absolutely.
Okay.
It was, and you know, I hate describing it this way, but a lot of people talk about it as an off-season sport. And for some kids, yeah, absolutely. But what I saw was like, for a lot of kids, it was primary sport part 2.
Okay.
You know, I think the thing that's rough in today's world is people talk about, you know, specializing early. And I think that leads to burnout early. And so we try to be good about, it's not an off-season sport. It's just your second primary sport. And for a lot of football players, I think they like that. If you focus too much on one thing all the time, you lose that kind of love for it, in my opinion. And so having that other sport to go love on and be all in on at the second part of your season, by the time your other sport comes back around, you're like, oh, yeah, it's fresh, it's new, it's exciting, I can get back into it. And so I think that's what track's been for a lot of kids, especially on the girls' side, more so. And I know that sounds weird, but the girls are the ones I've seen get a heck of a lot more benefit out of that, which, you know, football, you don't make cuts. So there's a place for all those boys. But on the girls' side of it, all those fall sports cut.
Yeah.
Like, and so we found a really awesome niche for those girls that may be really talented athletically, maybe not just skilled for the ball sports. And so, like, right now, we've got 52 girls that are just straight track.
Okay.
Like, and it
Which
sounds
is a big number.
That's a huge number.
Yeah.
That sounds awful, but they are the cuts from everywhere else. And I don't want to call them leftovers, but you know, they tried out for volleyball or basketball and didn't make it. And so they were looking for a place. They came to track and found a home. And I think that's given them an identity and something they can lean on, and they've done it fantastic with it.
That's awesome. Because track meets are like, you know, and those will be more in the spring. Obviously, we got to get through fall and Christmas and the holidays and all this stuff, and the weather will get nicer again next spring. But they're like controlled chaos.
Oh, it's herding cats.
There's starter guns going off. People are clapping. I'm not sure what they're clapping for. It's just
and you got 20,000 things happening at once. You know.
And where are you?
I'm in the middle of all of it. Last year, I want to say, like, my average steps on my watch per meet was somewhere around 18 to 20 miles of walking because I'm a pacer. I can't stand still.
That shocks me.
I got to move. And so I'm walking from long jump to triple jump to high jump to shot put to discus to pole vault. I'll maybe see 1 or 2 jumps or throws per event. But for me, one of the things that I feel really good about is I want to make sure every kid sees me at their event.
Okay.
And that I'm not writing anybody off. And so my goal at every meet is I want every kid to see me at their meet.
Okay.
At their event. Like, I want a shot putter to say, yes, Coach Ramby was there. He saw me.
I had somebody tell me that Devin Ramby would never walk by a job that needed to be done.
Yeah, and I will say that gets you on times. It's go, go, go all the time. And so by the time, you know, summer hits or off season, I'm exhausted. And like I said, I'm getting a good day is, you know, 15, 20,000 steps. If it's got to be done, I'll do it. If it's laundry, I did it. If it's picking up cones, I'll do it. If it's a door open, I'll close it.
It's a compliment. Yeah.
Yeah, I take it that way for sure.
So you were a hurdler here.
I was
at Cooper.
I attempted to be one.
But you were an all-state hurdler.
Well, yeah, I tried to be.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. But this was your first job out of college, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know, I going into college, Coach Sexton really wanted me to walk on for track somewhere, and at the time I was like, I'm done. I've done to the highest level in high school. Like, I ran at the state meet. I'm gonna take a break, and got into. I actually ended up working at Citibank over by Tech, and loved it. And I noticed that the head banker guy at the time played a lot of golf. I was like, all right. I could do that. I'll get in banking and I'll just play golf. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And Coach Sexton and Coach Cat needed some help with hurdles, so they called me to come out and just kind of volunteer on the side. And there was no looking back at that point. I was like, I like this.
Yeah.
I found a heck of a lot more joy with my kids finding success, and I had way more joy than when I was winning. And I don't know why, but for some reason it's like, yeah, I did okay, I won, that was awesome. But then seeing the kids I was coaching have success, I was like, that's a feeling I have never had before anywhere. And it became addicting. I was like, I got to do this. I've got to do this. And ever since then, it's the same way.
That's fulfilling, man.
Yeah, it is.
That's
Unlike anything else I've ever done.
See, and that's selfless too. Speaks to walking by a job and not. Yeah, that's right. You used to coach football, and everybody has said, man, he's got a great feel for offense and just calling offense and all that. Do you miss it?
Certain aspects.
Yeah.
I miss Friday nights. The weekends, I don't miss that. It became, that part was like the have-tos in the job.
Yeah.
You know, the practice, the interaction with the kids, the Friday nights was the get-to kind of aspect of it. And then my wife and I had a kid about 2 years ago, and my daughter, and so that became a priority to me. And I didn't want to stay in football so long that I hated it.
I got you.
I was like, I want to get out while I still like it and enjoy it and love it.
Yeah.
And so Coach Cat and I talked about an opportunity. The head boys coach was leaving at that point in time, and so Coach Cat was like, you know, we're big enough now, we envision like one viewpoint for track, boys and girls, which I was nervous. I was like, man, that's a lot. Like the amount of paperwork alone for one, let alone two, was like, holy cow, the logistics, all that stuff. I was like, I don't know about that. And so he talked about getting out of football and doing that kind of stuff, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. You know, and he always said that to me, like, we're not saying you could never coach football again, but let's give it a shot and see what happens. And I was open to that because I was thinking the same thing. Like, I just need a change.
Okay.
Not saying I'll never get back in football. If the right opportunity and the right position and the right place came around, sure. I might look into it at that point in time. But I was really happy with my decision to go track cross country at the time.
Okay. Tell me, you had an all-state triple jumper last year, and she's a senior this year. That's a unique situation for Cooper, especially on the, take me through that journey.
So,
and she kind of transferred in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wish we could take credit. I wish we could say, oh, we developed her from the bottom up.
But still, yeah.
Yeah, she came in from New Mexico. She was at a really small private school, Sophia.
Sophia DeGroot.
Yeah. Absolute stud when she came in. I mean, she was like a 4 or 5 time state champ, like 2 years in a row in New Mexico. And so she came in, and we're like, holy cow. You know, and a lot of kids will come in and say, oh, yeah, I'm fast, or, oh, yeah, I can jump. And you're like, okay, let me do some research and see. So we looked her up. We're like, holy cow, she's not lying. Like, she is a stud. And she tried out for volleyball, played it last year, but then came to track, and you could just tell right off the bat, raw talent, like generational talent. And so we had to bring in, because I know triple jump a little. I triple jump, but I'm not an expert at it. Not like hurdles or relays or sprints. And so we called in a favor to Coach Sexton, Dwayne Sexton, Joe's brother. And he is a guru of triple jump. And so I was like, hey, that's a marriage made in heaven right there. I mean, a stud, once in a generation, Coach Sexton, they just took off. I mean, within 2 months, we went to the Tech indoor meet, and she PR'd by over a foot. And then you fast forward a couple months at ACU, early March, and she hit 39 feet. That's rare. I mean, she was like top 10 in the state.
Okay.
Of any division. Like, that's just – and so at that point, we were feeling pretty good about it. I'm pretty superstitious in that stuff, so, Coach Sexton's like, we got to get rooms in Austin, get ready. And I'm like, whoa, hey, let's pump the brakes. I don't want to jinx anything. Yeah, timeout. Let's wait. And so as we approached it better, she's a competitor. And that's the thing about her. I always say to those kids, like, winners win. They find a way.
Yeah,
and that's what she is. She's a winner.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's the thing about your sport is that it's not about talking about how good you are. The clock says it. The tape measure says it.
Yeah.
It's show and tell. There is no like, well, if the official would have done. No, it's like you're either fast enough or you're jump far enough or jump high enough or whatever. The end.
It's so objective.
Yes.
And we love it. Because I think, I tell the kids all the time on that deal, like, you make your own way in track. And if you want to be good, you'll prove it on the track. When the lights come on and they're measuring and got the tape measure out and all that kind of stuff, we'll find out who the contenders are and who the pretenders are.
Your favorite event to watch, just as a not even as a coach, but you're just casual observer. If you go to a track meet, your favorite event to watch is what?
That's tough. I love triple jump
Okay.
because it's so technical, and you don't realize it from an outside observation. When you get into it, you're like the amount of forces that are happening in all different directions, and the ability to maintain your position with that kind of force and that speed on one leg, it's impressive. And then the other one for me is probably the 800 because it is the hardest race in track. It's now becoming a sprint.
It's a grind.
It's becoming a sprint. And so people that can manage that, because there's a lot of strategy. You know, in the 100's like, well, you run fast. You know, and that's what it is. And kind of stuff with 800, there's strategy with that kind of speed. And so I love a good 800 race.
Okay. Yeah, because I think in like Olympics, the 100 and the 200 get pumped up a lot. But
They do.
There's some of the other events that are, you know, that really catch people's eye. But track meets are fascinating to me.
Oh, yeah.
It just because it's like there's nothing. It's like a circus, but
Yes.
it's all coordinated and all that. So it's always fascinating to watch coaches because I don't know where they need to be, or it's okay, this is where we need points, or we've got to do well in this event, or our team's not. I mean, it's just
Yeah, the amount of strategy that goes into the points aspect of a track meet, if you ever really dive into it, there's way more strategy than you would think.
So you and I will, you know, this was kind of a precursor here.
Yeah,
We're going to
for
talk
sure.
to you again in the spring when track season does get here, but wanted to get you in here and talk to you. So we'll do this again in the spring. Now we're gonna do some rapid fire. You
Okay.
ready? So
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
ready.
this is the hot seat.
Okay.
You ready? Okay. If Devin Ramby goes to order a pizza, what goes on it?
Oh man, it's green chilies, it's spicy Italian sausage, pepperonis, and some thin crust.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. Okay, all right. The last person that you gave a standing ovation for.
Oh man, that's tough. I give a lot of standing ovations. If I'm being honest, people would say I'm probably overly positive, and I'm okay
Again,
with that.
not shocked.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, your
heck,
glass,
giving-
your glass is half full. Yeah, I appreciate.
I was
that.
giving ovations yesterday when we were running fly tins outside. But honestly, I'm a huge music guy.
Okay.
And so I love live concerts. And probably the last true like standing ovation was Paul McCartney here. in
Well,
town.
okay. I was about to say that's a.
You know, Chip and I would get into it over Beatles aspect. It goes way back. Chip and I have had some legit arguments over music, but Beatles, yeah, Paul McCartney.
Okay. Best coaching advice that you give your athletes is what? If you sum it up in like the best thing I can tell my athletes, or that I feel like I tell my athletes, is what?
It's gonna sound stupid simple, but it to me the biggest problem I see, and it's different guys, girls, but to me it's just don't try too hard. I think that's becoming a deal I see a lot, and especially in sprints. Like trying too hard has the opposite effect.
Okay.
Like relax. You've put the work in. You have the talent. Just go do it.
Yeah.
Don't force anything. And I think for me, I had to relax myself. I was overcoaching. You know, when you get into it, you're like, okay, I got to tell them everything because they have to know that I'm very knowledgeable. And so I ended up overcoaching, locking kids down. So like my thing now is like I do less.
KISS theory.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it stupid simple.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Your best follow on social media is who?
Oh God. Honestly, okay, if I'm talking like just entertainment value,
Okay.
BJ Simmons.
That can be a little R-rated at times. So
100%.
so
yeah,
be careful.
follow
there.
carefully there.
Yeah, former Texas Tech
Yeah,
quarterback.
I was, obsessed with Tech football growing up. I could tell you the starting 11 probably from my junior high through high school years. But it's super entertaining. Love his take on everything.
Yeah, see, some of us, if we tweeted like BJ did, we get fired.
Yeah, 100%.
So-
I live vicariously through his social media.
There you go. That's-
And then if it's like professional, I really like a lot of sprint coaches and strength conditioning coaches. And my feelings are that we're going to find our edge from a track standpoint on everything outside the track. Everyone does sprints and workout. Everyone does this. For me, it's like, what else can we do on the side? So, like, there's some guys I really, really like. Chris Corfist is really good. Cal Dietz is really good. So just strength conditioning sprint guys.
Okay, there you go. That's good stuff. Devin Ramby in one word. And this is you, not your wife.
No, yeah, okay. Yeah, for her, amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, all that kind of stuff, loving. For me,
It sounds like positive.
Yeah,
I would optimist.
Yeah, I would say overly optimistic.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
blind optimism.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, which star would you rather be, rock star or movie star?
Rock star all the way.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
I mean,
there
in
you
a
go.
different life, I own a record store, or I'm an A&R guy, or something like that. I was obsessed with music growing. Still am. I mean, I could talk music all day, every day.
I love it. See, we've gotten all kinds. We've seen the wide variety of Devin Ramby.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
All right, we'll do this again in the spring. That was fun, man.
Yeah,
Good
really
job.
excited to. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's Devin Ramby. This was another edition of Pirate Talk.